Welcome in, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Here's the thing, and we got a lot to talk about.
Oh my God!
I'm embarrassed!
He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time. Welcome in, everybody. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams, and I'm Tom Arnone. We thank you all for joining us. And every Monday, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're here, and we are brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Hey, Birds fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. Philly Sports Trips has released their Eagles schedule. Make sure you go see my friends from phillysportstrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch a Birds game in a great city and hang with former Eagles like Hollis Thomas and the likes. Philly Sports Trips books the best hotels and has the best birds available. You know you'll have a blast. Book now and tell them A2D sent you. So there's that, phillysportstrips.com. Go check them out. They're the best in the business. We're the best in the business, and we have a lot to talk about. We'll go over at the end of the show how a 13-year-old boy saved his sister, right, Mitch?
Yeah, it was an unbelievable story to read, to what this kid went through and actually saw happening to his 8-year-old sister.
It's crazy. I had not got a chance to read it yet. I'm actually like waiting to hear you read it to me. So I'm really interested. Everybody out there, stay tuned for that at the end of the show. We'll preview Phillies Diamondbacks. Got a series starting tonight against Arizona. And a big one. The Phillies sitting at 22 and 24. They just can't be consistent. We'll talk about that as we preview Phillies Diamondbacks. Phillies starting pitching issues continue. They don't continue. They continue. We'll dive into all of it because it hasn't been good enough. I got some questions for Mitch and the family out there, and we'll get into that. Phillies and their losing streak against the Cubs. So take 2 out of 3 at home. Sure, a good sign. We'll get into all of it. Our main topic, Rob Thomson continues to not hit 2 guys versus lefties, and those 2 guys are Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh. Ties into our poll question that Rob Thomson has to stop sitting Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh against lefties. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. And everywhere you get your podcast, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the conversation this afternoon. Let us know. Mitch, lead us off here. Do you agree or disagree with that Rob Thomson has to stop sitting Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh against lefties?
He has to absolutely stop doing it. Number one, it messes with their head, their confidence. Bryson Stott's done a great job against left-handers this year. Brandon Marsh in April, I believe, was hitting over 300 against left-handers. And Guthrie in the leadoff spot, you got that. To me, is a joke. He does not belong on a big league field. You cannot steal first base just because he can run. If you want to keep him on the bench and use him as a defensive replacement in the 9th inning, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But that man should not see an at bat.
And why again? I mean, why again? There's nothing better. We've seen better stuff in spring training that, and I know they don't want to get the clocks going on certain guys and all that goes into it. But when you're ready to win now, I don't need to put a guy like that in my lineup.
No, it's an out. And then you've got Trey Turner, who's struggling mightily. So you got Guthrie hitting 1, Turner hitting 2, and your best hitter hitting 3, coming up with nobody on base.
Not ideal.
No. In anyone's world of baseball, that's not ideal. When you're a guy like Harper that gets paid to drive in runs, you want that first and second hitter to be on base. He has a simple fix, an absolute simple fix. Alec Boehm should be hitting second on this team. Alec Boehm is not known for his power. What he is known for is putting the ball in play, driving it the other way. Now you got a chance for him to hit a double and Harper to come up and drive him in. There's a lineup he could put out there. I wrote it down. Stott should be leading off. Bohm should be hitting second. Harper third. Castellanos, Schwarber, JT, Marsh. Turner should be moved down to the eighth hole just to take the pressure off him for a while. Let him go down there, relax, get his swing back, and then keep Sosa in the nine hole.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's crazy. The only thing that I would say about moving Turner down there is, does it relax him, or how does he handle that? Right, which I don't know. Right? Does he handle that okay?
We're seeing how he's handling striking out. He's handling it well. His at bats are just not good at bats. Yesterday, finally in his last at bat, he drove a ball to right center. Maybe that'll turn him around. That's all I've been waiting for, is to see him drive a ball the other way. We talked about it last week. He is swinging he's guessing. He's standing up there guessing. When you swing at balls that are a foot off the plate away and you take pitches that are down the middle, you're not seeing the ball. So put him down the eight hole, let him relax. I mean, he's taking it in the field with him too. And you can't have that. You're paying this guy way too much money to do what he's supposed to do. Field the baseball, run like hell, and put the ball in play.
Yeah, I have a major issue with, like, listen, I can deal with the slumps at the plate, right? Because I always believe that guys are going to get their numbers when it's all said and done. Usually guys do, right? What I have a major problem with is what you just said, right? Not what you said, what I'm watching, right? That we talk about every player, every coach. Don't carry it. We can't carry it. We got to flush. On to the next. I got no time machine in sports. I have no time machine. If I had a time machine, I tell guys all the time, I'd be Jeff Bezos. I'd be a billionaire if I had a time machine. We don't, right? What we have is our response to adversity and our response to failure, because there isn't a sport that you fail more in than baseball. So we're not accepting it. We're understanding of it, but I can't carry. That's the point. And when I watch him, he's carrying into the field. This guy's too good defensively to be booting balls like I watch him boot, right? We talked about the line drive last week. We talked about right through his glove in San Fran. That's a focus thing. That's not a talent thing, right? So I always talk about
has nothing to do with talent. It has everything to do with him standing out there thinking about his at-bats.
Yep. It's not even physical for him, right? It becomes mental.
This guy is one of the most physically gifted players in the major leagues. He has to take the pressure off him, especially here in Philly, because the fans here in Philly are crawling up his behind like crazy right now. He played in Washington. Okay, Washington ain't going to react to failure like Philly does. And he played in L.A. L.A., they show up in the third inning, they leave in the seventh. They don't even care about the outcome of the game.
No, it's very true. It's very true. To the poll, I agree too. And our poll, if you're just joining us, Rob Thomson has to stop sitting Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh against lefties. Agree or disagree? I agree. Two quick numbers. One, Stott's batting .302 this year with a home run, 4 RBIs, and 56 plate appearances versus lefties. Say pretty good numbers.
How many strikeouts?
The good thing about Stott is he's only struck out 6 times in 56 plate appearances. So
that's pretty damn good if you're a leadoff hitter. Where Rob Thomson made the mistake was when Bryce came back, putting Schwarber back in the leadoff hole. I don't care what you are as a player. Mentally, if you're going good and the manager moves you down in the lineup, that messes with your head. You feel like you're getting punished, and it shouldn't be that way. He's done a hell of a job leading off. Leave him alone. This guy, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm not sure if I said it on the show yet or not. Chase Utley was one of my favorite baseball players. But Chase Utley defensively couldn't warm up Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott has a cannon for an arm. He's got great range. Now, I believe he's going to grow into the kind of hitter that Chase was. But he's already a better second baseman.
No, you said that I think on our first show, but listen, we get a new audience every time essentially. So I like hearing it again. I think everybody out there likes hearing it again. We all believe in them. And to go with the last part of the poll, Brandon Marsh, right? 9 for 34 versus lefties, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 39 plate appearances. So he's batting 265. The only concerning part of Marsh versus lefties is his 15 strikeouts in 39 plate appearances, right? So that's not ideal. But guess what? He's a young player. So the more I roll him out there, like as a lefty myself, I didn't throw lefty, but bad lefty. As a lefty myself, right? The hardest thing, especially growing up, you don't see a lot of lefties, right?
Exactly.
And you don't see a lot of good ones. So if you do see them, they're a dime a dozen growing up. And then you get in high school, you see a little bit more. And then obviously college, you start seeing more and more. But every level you go up, you see more and more good ones, right? And I think as a young guy, knowing that as you come through the ranks is that, hey, run them out there every day. If it gets to the point where it's anemic and I got to stop doing it, okay, we can have that conversation. But as soon as Pache went down, who I thought started swinging it well, really good defender, I didn't mind him getting some ABs because that guy's a low risk, high reward type, right? Same with Marsh. So if they give you something more than you expect, that's awesome at the plate. And so I didn't have a problem with that. But now Guthrie, I have or whatever the heck his name, it doesn't even matter to me. I got a little bit of an issue with, and it's not an attack on the guy, it's attack. We're in win now mode. So run Marsh out there every day. And then when Pache comes back, okay, then all right, I got to platoon this. It wasn't good enough, right? But he's not going to kill this offense. He's not going to be the difference of this offense being at the level we need it to be, especially with runners in scoring position. That's on all the other guys making $100+ million, with all due respect to those guys.
And Trey Turner's numbers with runners in scoring position are pathetic. That just tells me it's a guy who is pressing. Trust me when I tell you, he wants to earn that $300 million contract. That's why he's pressing. If I'm not mistaken, his numbers on the road are much better than they are at home. And you watched his at-bats yesterday, they weren't even competitive at-bats until his last one, when he hit the ball in the gap in right center. Guthrie, he also ran into a ball. A blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and then. But his last at-bat, that was like watching a 15-year-old swing in the big leagues. It was pathetic. He's fast. I don't know the man. I honestly can say I've never met him, don't know what kind of guy he is. All I know is his name is Guthrie. He can run, but he can't hit.
All right, to your point about Trey Turner, Mitch, spot on, right? Going to the Google machine. Trey Turner is batting .292 on the road, 31 hits, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 16 runs scored in 25 games on the road this season. So that's Trey Turner on the road. To your point about more relaxed on the road, less pressure on the road for him, and the numbers speak for it. As a baseball team, it doesn't speak for it because we've been atrocious on the road, and that's why we're sitting where we're sitting at 7 games back in late May here to the Atlanta Braves. Is not because how we played at home. I think we've done a good job of winning home series after our start, which was rocky, right? I think we've done a pretty good job at home of righting that ship. But on the road, 9-16, I believe they are on the road. That's bad. That's what bad baseball teams do. I always say, listen, 500 on the road. You play 500 on the road. You take care of your business at home like you're supposed to. You're a playoff team. So
that's exactly right.
That's what they got to figure out as a ball club. And to your point about runners in scoring position and all those things, before we go to a quick commercial break, but all those things have not been good enough to go with the starting pitching that we'll talk about on the other side when we come back. We'll talk about the Phillies, how inept they are with runners in scoring position right now, which is amazing for a team that's batting average-wise to the level they are. They just can't get the big hit. They can't get the big hit. So we'll dive into that a little deeper, and we'll dive into the starting staff. And do they need to think about making a move at some point sooner than later to bolster this staff a little bit more? We'll talk about that when we come back on the other side here.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Well, there you have it. PhillySportsTrips.com. Go book your getaway today. Mitch, I got yours in the back end here. I don't have a video portion of it. But I'm gonna let that. I'm gonna mute our mics and let that play as part of our commercial.
All righty.
Commercial here.
Team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years. With 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest. Mitch Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond
Sorry, everybody. First time doing that. Just on a loop. Didn't realize it wasn't going to stop.
That's the partner. The company I'm a partner in right now, and I appreciate you playing that, buddy.
Of course. We'll get that better. Next week. But we got it. We're able to get it in. So talking about we've not been good enough with runners in scoring positions. So we'll start with that, and then we'll get into this starting pitching a little bit that we've talked about now for a few weeks of doing this show, but we'll go a little bit deeper with them. Runners in scoring position. How does it change, Mitch? Besides the guy just getting a hit. And we talk about how everything's contagious in baseball, right? So yeah. What needs to be done different?
You just need to relax. As a hitter, the worst thing you can do is go up there and feel pressured. Kyle Schwarber, God bless him, this guy never goes to the plate and looks like he is pressing. You look at Schwarber, who's hitting under 200, and at his body language, then look at Trey Turner's body language after they're at bat. They're different. Schwarber knows at some point he's going to run into a few. He's got 11 home runs already. He's hitting now where he should be hitting, in the 5-hole. So these guys, first thing they got to do, they got to get Stott back in the leadoff hole. And I swear, if they put Bohm in the 2-hole, these pitches that Trey Turner's been swinging and missing at, they're right where Alec Bohm wants the baseball, on the outer third of the plate. He wants to drive the ball the other way. I believe that you would see his home run totals go up if you moved him up to the 2-hole, because with Bryce hitting behind him, he is going to get pitches to hit.
Yeah, he is. And I agree with you with relax. And this is a crazy little stat nugget that we put out on A2D Radio socials. Trey Turner still has more homers and RBIs in the World Baseball Classic than he does for the Phillies this season. So played 6 games in the World Baseball Classic, 5 homers, 11 RBIs. Right, 45 games in a Phillies uniform, 4 homers, 10 RBIs. So a part of that is, and I smelled it coming when he was that hot. I'm like, this guy's hot as a pistol. He's going to start slow now, right? He's just going to start slow. The ebb and flow of it.
But he wasn't making $300 million playing in the World Baseball Classic.
You are right, and we saw it with Nick last year too. Yes. We saw the pressure. The only guy I didn't really see it with, because I don't know if we were expected to win yet, is when we signed Harper, right? Like that was a transition into winning, where I didn't think we were expected to win yet, so the pressure wasn't as high. Okay, but with Nick, as soon as we signed Nick and Schwartz, it was all right. Lights are on. Time to win, right? So we saw Nick struggle with it, and Nick's been awesome this year. Now we're watching Trey do the same thing, and I agree with you. Like, I have no problem moving him down, right? No problem. Alec Bohm's one of my favorite hitters in baseball. He just is. The way he stays inside the ball, he's short to the baseball. He doesn't try to do too much.
He takes what the pitcher gives him.
Yep.
And that's what you have to do as a hitter, especially with runners in scoring position. If I'm not mistaken, he's leading the team in RBIs, is he not?
Ooh, let me check on that one for you.
But this is a guy, if I'm out there on the mound, I am going to try and come in on Alec Bohm, because he like you said, he stays inside the ball so well. Take the power away from him. His power for me is from center to right field. He's not a pull hitter. So pitch him in. Give up a single. That would be my approach to him, and go up.
I agree with you. Yes, he is leading the team in RBIs with 32. So your team leader, Schwarber, with 11 home runs, better in the 5-hole like we talked about. More of an opportunity to have runners on base when we hit home runs, which is nice. His RBIs still aren't there yet. You know, it's the same thing as last year. 11 homers, 23 RBIs. That's like hard to do. I find that so hard to do.
He hit 46 last year and had 87 RBIs, didn't he?
Yeah, that's
so almost impossible.
Yeah. I don't even know how you pull that off. And Nick, like we talked about, batting .303. But the runners with the runners in scoring positions, the big thing that needs to change offensively, and this baseball team will be a lot better if they can figure that out.
Well, if they get change or leave Stott in the leadoff hole and put Bohm in the 2-hole, there will be guys on base for Bryce, Castellanos, and Schwarber when they come to the plate. Those two guys at the top are the two best, in my opinion, at seeing the baseball, letting the ball travel, and taking what the pitcher gives them. That's what you want in a 1- and 2-hole guy. My biggest issue with a 2-hole hitter, if the leadoff guy gets on base, when the 2-hole hitter is done hitting, that leadoff guy better be on second. And I don't care how you do it. And Bohm is outstanding at going the other way with the baseball. So I think it's a no-brainer. But whether or not Rob Thomson will do it, who knows?
Yeah, and I think the big question comes down to how we know it. You know it more than I know it. I'm not using this word with Trey Turner at all, but like some guys are divas. Some guys don't take those things well, right? So I think knowing your player is all you need to know. If Trey Turner cares about winning more than he cares about where he bats, then, which I believe he does, I want to believe he does. So that it should be, hey, Trey, we're going to relax you for a week or two. All right?
Yeah, and right now he's embarrassed. You can see it all over his face. When he strikes out, he is absolutely humiliated, and you can see it all over his face. And the one thing as a baseball player you cannot do, you cannot show the other team what you were thinking in any way. When I threw a ball off the backstop, the hitter looked out there. He saw the same look on my face as when I struck him out. I never gave them anything to go on. If I threw it to the backstop, I did it on purpose, whether I did or not. I'll tell you a great story about a leadoff hitter that I had as a 10-year-old. Put him in the leadoff spot. Every time he made an out, which was every time, he cried. And there's nothing I hate more than that. So he went 0 for 4 in the first game. The rest of the tournament, I moved him down to the 8-hole. He went 4 for 8. And his father pulled him off my team because he said, my son is a leadoff hitter. I looked at the man and I said, so you would rather see him fail and cry than go 4 for 8. If you don't want him playing for me, you don't know a thing about the game of baseball.
That's so true. Exactly. So to your point, you'd rather have that, because if we look at some glaring numbers, okay, the Phillies are 21st in RBIs in baseball. They are 21st in runs scored in baseball, 21st in strikeouts, and they're 20th in home runs, which that's
with this lineup, 20th in home runs should be embarrassing.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. And they're 9th in hitting. What
this team needs to figure out, I think this team has great character. I think they've got great leadership with JT, with Schwarber. I think and Bryce, of course. I think they have the leadership in place. What they need to do is stop playing down to their competition. There is no way they should have been swept by the Giants. No way.
No, and they have been. And like, this was a baseball team when you go into the playoffs last year, right? We'll just talk about that. When they go into the playoffs, they're on the road for a long time, okay? And you saw them come together on the road, right? And that what made us all really believe what we were watching too. They came together. They were road tough. They were battle tested when it came to that stuff. And to come out this year and have the spurts on the road that they've had in LA, which was downright bad baseball to watch, and then in San Fran, which was maybe even worse baseball to watch somehow. Okay, that's what's mind-boggling. Like this is a ball club it's way too close. And listen, I think Rhys Hoskins is one of the most underrated clubhouse leaders in Major League Baseball, and a guy that got crushed in this city for strikeouts and other things. And I can't believe that I believe that he's extremely important, but I can't believe that one guy missing not ruins your clubhouse, but changes it that drastically, right?
It should not change the dynamic that much. And anyway, they've got guys in that clubhouse that are extremely experienced. And Harper, Schwarber, Castellano, these guys ain't rookies. These guys know how to lead. And all the young guys have to do is follow. Do your job. Don't try and do someone else's job. Do your job. As long as you focus on what you're supposed to do when you walk out on that field, whether you're hitting first or you're hitting ninth, your job remains the same. Hit the baseball. And this team, to be 21st in home runs with the pop this team has, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And it needs to change. And we know Charlie used to always talk about it. I fully agree with it when hitting season comes, hitting weather, right? Yeah. But again, this team can't rely on winning like 18 out of 20 again, right? That's the problem. Like whatever it was last year, it was ridiculous, right? It was awesome to watch, but you can't rely on that every year. I said it in a tweet yesterday. You can't fire a coach again. So now, it's binoculars are all on the players. Like you're not going to fire a coach mid-season for a spark. So who's going to spark this team? Where's the spark coming from? You got Bryce back. That should have been enough of a spark with guys walking around, feeling a little bit better about themselves. But it's going to start with Trey Turner. Trey Turner has to get it going to our conversation for this lineup to be as successful as we want it, especially when you're missing 30 homers and 100 RBIs out of it. You can do that, but Trey has to replace that, right? And
exactly.
He has not. He has not replaced Rhys Hoskins' production this year, and that's why this baseball team is where they are.
Yet they have to – Thompson has got to move him down. Take some pressure off of Trey. Let him go out there and concentrate on his defense. If he goes out there and concentrates on his defense, then maybe he'll relax at the plate because he knows he's only going to get maybe 4 at-bats. Right now, he's looking at 5 at-bats every night, and in his mind, he's going to fail 4 out of 5 of those at-bats. You can see it all over his face.
Yeah, he's an uncomfortable hitter right now. And calm and confident are the hitters you need. He's definitely not that at the moment. Hopefully tonight starts it. Arizona's coming in. I mean, maybe this is a series that can maybe get him going. We need him to get going. And the other side for our lackluster start and be a 22-24 right now. And bigger than that, just our inconsistency as a whole has been this pitching staff as as a whole. They're 23rd in baseball in earned run average, right? So you just start there. Not good enough.
No,
not good
it's
enough.
not good enough. And the thing is, as we talked about in the past, they've got a bullpen full of really good arms. If I'm a starter, all I want to do is go out and give 6 quality innings. That's what this game has come to. There will never be another 300 game winner in the game of baseball. It just won't happen because of that 100 pitch count. There's going to be way too many games where a starter walks off the field with a lead and the bullpen's going to blow it. So you'll never. I think Randy Johnson was the last 300 game winner, was he not? I'm going by memory, but I believe he was the last 300 game winner, and we'll never see that again in our lifetime because they have completely changed the game, and the way Rob Manfred's changed the game, it's pitiful. It's just not the same game.
You're probably right, Mitch, because since 1990, only 4 pitchers have joined the 300 win club: Clemens, Maddox, Glavine, and Johnson. So, yeah,
Johnson will be the last one we ever see.
Yep.
Especially when you got 9 relievers. That boggles my mind. 9 relievers and 5 starters. That's if you take away 4 of those, you have 4 extra bench players. If you go back to a 5-man bullpen and a 5-man starting rotation, it keeps guys working. The more I threw, the better I threw. Maybe I'm different, but you have to get these guys work. And I don't see enough work to go around for all of them.
No, listen, if I'm paying the money, I'm paying for 3 out of 5 of this starting staff. I need minimum 6 every night they're out there. Every night. It's not even enough for debate, right? When you talk about Wheeler, Noah, and Walker, those guys got to give me 6, right? And then Ranger's got to work, and he's got to work his way back into it. Yeah.
Ranger's going to get back to where he was last year. His issue right now is just location. But the great thing about Ranger, the thing I love about him, you can't tell whether he's getting his ass kicked or he's kicking their ass. He is a guy that goes out there stone-faced, shows the hitters nothing. I mean, there used to be guys in the league where you look over at the other dugout, these guys are taping up their hands for the fight at the bat rack. They can't wait to get to the plate just based on the look of the pitcher on the mound. Appearances are everything in the game of baseball.
Absolutely. So my question to you is, Mitch, Phillies, what's the biggest reason for their inconsistency? Is it pitching or is it the hitting?
It's the pitching. I think the pitching right now, they're not getting enough depth out of their starters. And let's face it, Tom, a quality start today is 6 innings and 3 runs. When I came up, that's a 4.5 ERA. That got you sent down. Quality didn't have anything to do with a 4.5 ERA. So that's another one of those things I don't understand who came up with that. Quality start, 4.5. No, that's not a quality start. A quality start is 7 innings, giving up 2 runs and handing the ball off to your setup guy, then your closer.
I'm muted. 7, 2 or 3 runs. I mean, that's what should be the standard for any top 3 arm in baseball, right? Or in your staff. Now, the other question is that you said, pitching's the biggest reason for their inconsistency. I agree with that. The only other thing we can even argue and bring up is the runners in scoring position, right? Because that's been downright awful, but both have been brutal. So do the Phillies need to make a trade for another starter?
I don't know why they took Strom out of the rotation. He was doing a good job for him, and now they've got him pitching in the well. He came in the first inning the other day, and then they use him in the seventh or eighth yesterday. How can you prepare if you don't know what your job is? Everybody has a job. Being sitting in the bullpen, you don't know whether you're to stretch now or stretch in the set. I never even went to the bullpen before the sixth inning, ever. It just I knew what my role was, and believe me, if he gives them roles, they can prepare for them and go out and do a better job. All of them. The starters, when you look at the starters, what's changed in the game of baseball, they don't use pitches to set up pitches anymore because of that damn clicker. They want to get out with the first pitch. How many 0-2 base hits do we see now? Because pitchers don't want to waste a pitch. To me, it's ignorant. I always viewed it as I don't care how many pitches I throw, as long as I can throw 15 to a hitter. As long as he's walking back to the dugout, I did my job. Mm-hmm. And I don't care how many pitches I throw. And this is where the game's got to change. It's got to change at the major league level. It has to change all the way down to the little kid level. Start teaching proper mechanics. It all starts there. If a kid has proper mechanics, they can throw all day. Same thing in the big league level. If they're sound mechanically and they're at 110 pitches, who cares? As long as they're still sound mechanically. Mm-hmm. And that they just don't take that into account anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. And it's got, it's something that should change, needs to change, but it's all about velo, how hard you throw. But real quick, hey, Birds fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. Philly Sports Trips has released their Eagles schedule. Their Phillies schedule's already out. You can still book to get into some of the Phillies away games they're going to. PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Obviously going out to Petco in San Diego. So a lot of great trips coming up. Make sure you go see my friends from PhillySportsTrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch a Birds game in a great city and hang with former Eagles like Hollis Thomas. Philly Sports Trips books the best hotels, has the best birds available. You'll have a blast. Book now and tell them A2D saying it. No, go do it. Go do it.
If you go out with Hollis Thomas, you better get ready to eat.
Hollis likes it. Like some good grub, I take it.
Oh, yeah, Hollis likes to eat. This question right here, are they counting on Painter to come save the back end of the rotation after the All-Star break? They can't count on him. They don't know what they've got. They know they got a 19-year-old kid with a big arm. That big arm is hurt right now. I will be shocked if we see Painter in the big leagues at all this year.
Yeah, the injury really set him back. I think he was making a case to maybe come out of camp as that fifth starter, or close to it. And I think with an injury like that, it just really sets him back, especially that he's as young as he is. So, I don't think you see him this year.
No, I don't. I'm not counting on that at all.
No, they have to go out. They would have to go outside the organization if they're looking for a fifth starter. Because I don't want to see the bullpen games.
I honestly believe if they put Strom, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, Strom, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Make him your fifth starter. You know what I like about that kid? He wants the baseball. If he makes a bad pitch, he gets right back on the mound and comes at you. He ain't scared. He got some flowing hair going out there. He made my mullet look like I had a butch haircut. But this kid is a competitor. I can see it all over his face. He's a competitor. Put him in that fifth spot and let him go.
Why would they not want to do that?
I have no, unless they don't want back-to-back left-handed starters, and Ranger and him.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I got this wrong. Ranger's left-handed, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, I could see that being maybe the reason, right?
Then back up
Walker.
Make Walker your fourth starter. It's not a demotion. It's a situation where it makes the entire rotation better. That's what I would do anyway. I mean, Taiwan hadn't exactly been lights out every start. He lasted a third of an inning the other day, and Strom came in the first. Well, if you're going to bring him in the first, let him start the first. If you got that much confidence in him to bring him in that situation, let him be the fifth starter and bump Walker back to the fourth. Then you got the right left.
No, it makes sense. Like you said, it's not like he's been lighting the world on fire, Walker, that he's like, you can't move him. You can't switch him in the rotation. It's not a demotion, right?
No, it's not
like
a demotion.
Said, it's all situational.
And the thing is, Walker's money's guaranteed. He just signed a big a $70 million contract, if I'm not mistaken. So make him your fifth starter, your fourth starter, put Strom in the fifth spot, and go out and see if you can get some kind of consistency. But the consistency has to start at the top. Wheeler and Nola have not been consistent. I know Nola gets better the hotter it gets because he's an LSU boy. Pitched down in that humidity in Louisiana. He likes it hot. So as it gets warmer, I expect Nola to do better than he's been doing and be more consistent at it. But I'm still never going to change my opinion on why the Phillies have not re-signed him. It's simply due to his arm slot.
Yeah, it could be something that's coming. Hopefully not, but you're right. I mean, they both got to be more consistent. It does start at the top, and if those two aren't doing what's expected from them, I mean, I think the inconsistency is going to continue for the Phillies. So those two got to get the ball rolling.
They have to. And Wheeler, I'm sorry, but it's such an easy fix for him. When he's in his windup, he gets his shoulders closed, drives his nose. When he's in his stretch, his shoulders never get closed, which means the hitter sees the baseball the entire way through the delivery. And when big league hitters see the ball the entire way through your arm's delivery, they're going to hit you. Look at the kid that pitched yesterday for the Cubs. Threw across his body, hid the baseball, didn't have electric stuff. He just hid the baseball because he threw across his body. People think throwing across your body is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Every good starter that ever lived threw a little bit across his body. It keeps you closed. It keeps your arm healthy. I see so many guys that go out there, their front foot stride is a foot open. All that does is show the hitter the baseball for 60 feet 6 inches instead of picking it up once you're out to release. You're talking about 5 feet. The hitter doesn't get to see the baseball. If you're seeing it for 60 feet 6 inches, you can hit it. If you're seeing it for 55 feet, you got to make a decision, and you have to make that decision very quickly.
No, it's so true. It really is. And hopefully he makes it because Joe said, I don't know how, we can sit here and make obvious fixes, but the people in roles can't. Yeah, it's interesting. And then he asked, hey, Mitch, a few weeks ago, you talked about Nola being a Tommy John waiting to happen. He has pitched well his last couple outings. Have you noticed anything different from him?
His fingers are on top of the baseball. I don't care where your arm slot is. As long as your elbow is above your or even with your shoulder and your fingers are on top of the baseball and not around the baseball like this, you're going to have more success, because around the baseball, you can make the ball run, but you can't get it off the barrel. When Nola is on, it's when his fingers are on top of the ball with his fastball and his breaking ball. When he's around his breaking ball, oh my goodness, it looks like a beach ball to these hitters.
Yeah, it does. Joe with a question. I mean, Wayne, sorry. Hey, Wayne. He said, do you guys consider them both as aces, or is one clearly over the other?
Well, I've said this since I've seen Nola pitch. He's a decent 2 or a really good 3. And Wheeler, when he's mechanically right, he's an ace. But for me, Nola has always been a good 2 or a really good 3.
Yeah, Wayne, I think they both show times where they're considered legit aces around baseball, and I think there's other times where they both don't, right? And that's sort of thing. Nola is probably more consistent health-wise, durability than Wheeler, or that's some of Wheeler's issues in his past. But stuff-wise, Wheeler's more of that frontline ace guy, power pitcher, where
he can run it up there at 98, 99 miles an hour when he stays closed. It is so simple to watch on TV. It amazes me that when he gets in his stretch, everything changes. His whole upper body goes from being closed here to now he's blown open. Never gets all the way up and back and closed. You can only throw over to first base twice. Yep. Well, the way I always viewed it, if I get that hitter out, unless the runner can steal second, third, and home, I don't care about him. I picked off 36 guys as a reliever, but you have to know I could throw over as many times as I wanted. That's another rule that Manfred put in place that's just ridiculous. I mean, throw over twice, the guy can walk to second. That's not baseball. It's not baseball at all. How many stolen bases would Ricky Henderson have or Vince Coleman have with this rule in play? It would be astonishing, because you had to throw over.
Couple hundred a season.
Yeah, you had to throw over with guys like that. With Trey Turner, if Trey finds a way to get on base and get a big lead where he can force that pitcher to throw over or step off, you don't even have to throw over if you disengage from the mound.
Yeah.
That's the rule. The stupidity of some of these rules that have been instituted is just amazing to me.
Yeah, I don't get them. I don't get them. I don't even know. I'm wondering if stolen bases are even up this year. I mean, they're not up for us. I mean, I feel like we're a team that I think we expected to steal more bases than we have, to be honest with you. But that to your point, that's where Turner comes in at. So we do have, some big series is coming up here. Obviously Arizona finishes off this little homestand, 3 games starting tonight. And you'll get Zac Gallen here on Wednesday afternoon. But after that, we talk about the road struggles and 2 big series coming up after that. You go to Atlanta for 4. You go to Atlanta for 4, and then the Mets for 3. So 7 games, and then you go to Washington too, if you want to count all the division games.
See, I'm not really even worried about the Diamondback series, simply because the Phillies play up to their competition, but they also play down to it. And the Cubs, Cubs had a pretty good team, bunch of pretty good hitters, and the Phillies went out and took 2 out of 3 from them. That to me shows they can play with anyone, but when they start playing teams that are bad teams, it's like they lose their focus. You can't just throw your glove on the field and expect to win. You have to go out and play every out they allow you to play. And I think their concentration, for me, I wanted to beat everyone. I didn't want to just beat them. I wanted to humiliate them. That was just my mentality. My first 3 years in the league, if I had 2 strikes on a guy and he popped up, I prayed they dropped the pop-up because I wanted to punch him out. That was how I was built. And as I got older, I wanted every pop-up caught. Believe me, you learn as you go through this game. You don't care how you get outs, just get outs. But my first 3 years, it was all about striking guys out.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I feel good about this Arizona series, but when they're done with the Braves in Atlanta and the Mets in New York, are we feeling better about this team?
If they can go to Atlanta for 4 and take 2, and then they go to the Mets for 3, if they can go 4 and 3 against those 2 teams, that to me is a positive sign that they're starting to get to where they need to be. We're closing in on June, and Schwarber is Mr. June. The hotter it gets, the hotter he gets. And I'm kind of old school in a way. I hate punch outs, but when you have a guy that hit 46 bombs last year, he's already got 11, and we're just now getting to June. He might hit 11 in June. He may have 22 home runs by the time June's over. That's the kind of hot he can get. And Turner has got to find a way to get there with him. The guy that's amazed me the most is Harper. He doesn't look like he had Tommy John surgery to me at all. He ain't even wearing a pad on that arm. And that to me tells you what the guy's made of. He puts that brace on when he gets on base, and he actually slid head first the other day, which I knew at some point he was going to do, because at some point you stop thinking and it's just a reaction. And his reaction will always be, this 13-year contract, you will get every single bit of effort for 13 years out of Bryce Harper because of pride. He has pride in what he does. And I think sometimes you can look at, if Guthrie watches his at-bats, there's not a lot of pride involved in that. And to me, the only way you win in this game is you better have pride.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. You're listening to Here's the Thing on A2D Radio with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone. We'll be right back. And Mitch has an incredible story where a 13-year-old boy who saved his 8-year-old sister. So on the other side, before we wrap up, that's a little tease in radio is what they call that. Little tease. I don't even know it. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. I'm dying to find out. And I said, you know what? When I didn't look at it right away, I said, I got to just wait and hear what it is from Mitch. So we'll be right back. And here's the thing on A2D Radio.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Book it today, phillysportstrips.com. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, hit the like, subscribe, follow, and join the conversation. Mitch, tell us about this story.
This story came across, my daughter actually sent it to me. I have 2 autistic sons. I'm not sure if this boy is autistic, but he has the same type of look as my boys do. Well, anyway, in Alpena Township, Michigan, a 13-year-old Michigan boy who used a slingshot to save his 8-year-old sister from an attempted kidnapping said he was freaking out and simply reached for something that could stop the attack. So I grabbed my slingshot, opened the window, and grabbed 2 things, a marble and a gravel rock. Owen Burns told the local TV station. Police said Owen struck the 17-year-old assailant in the head and the chest, and his sister was able to get away. That, to me, I had one of my autistic sons used to throw playing cards, and he was probably 10 or 11 years old, and he had my wife go get a big carrot, and she put it on an oven mitt, and he took this card and fired it, and my wife said, well, you missed it, and he walked over and he just tapped it. He threw the playing card through the carrot. He could stick it in a watermelon. And this is the kind of thing for a kid like this at 13 years old to have the wherewithal to grab a slingshot and be from the house and be able to hit the guy in the head and the chest to save his 8-year-old sister. That to me is just a story that needs to be repeated over and over again.
It's phenomenal. It really is. It's amazing. Like a slingshot. What a slingshot.
A slingshot. And what happened was she went out to play and he heard a scream. And the first scream, he thought it was her playing with her friends. Then he heard a second scream and went to the window. And he shot the kid in the head with a marble and then in the chest with a rock. And the police arrested him. They were able to arrest him, and obviously he saved his 8-year-old sister.
Wow. Slingshot. And the accuracy, right, Jordan? So Jordan said, man,
yeah,
that actually sign him up. I mean, that's amazing. What a story.
Well, and he said it was actually easy because he was a lot bigger than a Pepsi can. That tells you about this kid. He had practiced with that slingshot quite a bit.
He said it was a lot bigger than a Pepsi can. That's great. Oh, that's a tremendous story. Hopefully the Phillies can start matching that type of story.
All the Phillies got to do, Tom, is go out, relax, and be themselves. It's the thing that cracks me up. You said it earlier. Charlie Manuel always said it's hitting season. Well, it ain't exactly been a freezing cold April and May up here. We've had some very nice weather.
Yeah, we did. We have.
So to me, that's not an excuse. Hitting season supposedly starts when the weather gets warmer. Well, for me, you got to be able to hit in any weather. Playing in Reno, Nevada in April. I started opening day in Reno, Nevada in 18 degrees and it was snowing.
Wow.
You just go out and play the game. It doesn't matter what the weather does. The game doesn't change. It's all the same.
I used to think hitting weather was just when you picked up your bat.
That's what.
I didn't think
exactly.
I didn't think there was a day where I was like, well, this is the day I start hitting.
No, when I was in high school, we took batting practice every morning at 5:30. For us, hitting season started at 5:30 every morning, and we hit again after school. You want to hit, you hit. I loved hitting. I was pissed when I got drafted and wasn't allowed to play first base. I wanted to play first base. I didn't want to pitch. I set the home run record in the state of Oregon. So I wanted to be a hitter. That's the kind. That's just how I was made. I'm a little different, I guess.
No, you're not. Is a guy who loves baseball, right? Loves hitting. I mean, I don't know who doesn't. I don't know who in their right mind's like, yeah, I'm going not hitting today. Like everybody wants to hit. Every player wants to hit.
I wanted to pitch every single day. That's just how I was. I wanted to be an everyday player. And then when I was a starter in the minor leagues, I was miserable. I'd go out there and screw up a start and have 4 days to figure out how to screw up the next one.
That's funny. That's why I would like to be like I agree with rather being a reliever than a starter. I wouldn't want to sit around for 4 days and think about that. Right. I'd want that redemption immediately.
The biggest mistake organizations make with guys that they sign, young guys like high school pitchers, is making them starters. Because when you're coming out of high school, the hardest thing to do is learn how to control your adrenaline. And how do you learn that? By going to the mound as often as possible, not every 5th day. I know in my situation, my best ERA in professional baseball up to the point when I got to the big leagues was my first year in the big leagues as a reliever. I didn't have an ERA under 4.9 as a starter in the minor leagues. My first year in the big leagues, I believe I had a 3.5 or a 3.6. But I went out there 80 times.
Yeah. Well, everybody, listen, enjoy hopefully a great week of Phillies. You know, we'll be back next Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern, like we always are. So if you can't watch us live or miss us live or like listening to stuff more on the podcast forums, we're everywhere. Just go follow us, A2D Radio, and you get to follow us on any platform you enjoy. We're everywhere. We'll be back next Monday, hopefully talking about, you know, the Phillies taking care of business in Atlanta and feeling really good going into that Mets series.
Yeah, all they got to do is be positive. They're so talented. Nick Castellanos don't even look like the same guy this year. He's absolutely confident when he's at the plate. Trey Turner looks exactly like Castellanos looked last year. Move him down in the lineup, let him relax, let him go play shortstop up to his capabilities, and not think about his hitting.
Mm-hmm. Just go play a game. You played your whole life. Stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
just go. We're all waiting for the breakout.
I mean, it's simple: see ball, hit ball. That's what it comes down to. And when you try and make it more than that, and he is absolutely guessing. You can say, I mean, he's swinging before balls are getting there, and that's when you're guess hitting.
Yeah, we're watching it. So, like I said, hopefully next Monday we're playing better baseball. We have a big series coming up in Atlanta. I think I speak for all of us. We're waiting for this baseball team to break out officially and not just little stretches and then back to losing 4 in a row, 5 in a row. That's sort of what they've been. They'll win 4 in a row, 5, they'll lose 5, 6 in a row. So let's go on a little run here. Feel better about ourselves because that's all we got in Philadelphia right now. Okay?
Yeah, it starts tonight. They're playing a good Arizona team. So go out there and play better than them. Score more runs. That's how you win baseball games. You score more runs than the other team. Everyone wants to make it difficult. It just ain't that difficult.
Pretty simple concept. Yep, Nick, hopefully timing hitting starts. We appreciate everybody who tuned in, commented. We can't thank you enough. Here's the thing. That's Mitch Williams. I'm Tom Arnone. We thank you. Go Phils. I'll be down there tonight. Hopefully we get a dub to start off the series against Arizona because you got a good one pitching Wednesday. So we'd like to get a couple before that because the last time Gallen pitched here in Citizens Bank, he got hit around. So I would assume he wants some redemption on that. So Wednesday would be a little bit of a tough matchup there. But like Mitch said, Arizona's playing really good baseball right now. It's not the Arizona of the last few years. They're definitely a better baseball team. So let's start with 2 out of 3. Anything more than that, we'll take that as well.
It's gravy.
Mitch, great show again.
Guys, thanks for joining us, everybody listening.
We'll see you again next week, everybody. Turn your alerts on. Live shows daily on A2D Radio. If you don't like us, I always say this, if you don't like us, there's somebody here you're going to like. We're out of here.